Hey everyone, so I've gotten a lot of questions on how I made my Spider-Punk effect on the Blender Bricks 3D challenge. So that's what I wanted to show you today. So I'm going to try to reconstruct the Nuke script that I made so you can kind of follow along and make sure you get everything right. We're going to start off in Blender where I'm going to show you some really important things that you gotta do when you render. So here's your scene. I guess the Trine already covered this, but you gotta use the OpenEXR multilayer, set the float to half, and just the default DWAA lossy mode. So when rendering for this Spider-Punk setup, you gotta make sure you enable CryptoMat objects in the view layer tab, and then you create two mats, one called Hobie and one called Web. You can add as many as you like for other objects and stuff like that. Other than that, I just enabled the Z pass. So for every part of our Hobie character, you want to make sure you got the AOV output set to Hobie, so his entire character gets put into this path right here. So you could go through every part, set different colors for stuff, and then for the web, if you're using like the like that web rig that everyone uses, right, with the empties and stuff, yeah, you want to click that, make a new material that's just white or something, and then you want to go to the modifiers and then set the material on the geometry node as that same material, or else it's not going to work. So you just want to put that as white, and then you just want to render. Now over to Nuke. Here is what I've got set up right now. I cleaned it up a bunch. I'm gonna try to make it from scratch, and yeah, let's get started. So we're gonna import our image here. So first, we're not gonna see anything. I'm just gonna assume that all of you have seen Citrine's video and how to set up like aces and stuff, but I'm just gonna do it really fast here. So go into project settings, hit S, go into color. You want to set the color management to OCO and then aces. There you go. Now, first of all, we're going to do a shuffle and then make sure we get our combined image. There we go. Then add a OCO color space. And then we're going to go from utility, and then we're going to go from linear sRGB into aces. I like to use the aces CG. There we go. We can add an exposure to just control the brightness. And since we're in EXR format, you can just tweak this as hard as you want. Yeah, I think that looks good. And now we can add a bokeh, which is, for anyone that doesn't know, the same bokeh effect they used for the Lego movie. Here you can select the depth layer. Where is it? There we go, depth Z. Set the multiplier to like 100 or something, and set this to like 1,000. Then you can tweak this. There we go. Go into the kernel tab, set the aspect ratio to 3. And then for that extra bokeh spice, you can just turn up the spherical aberration here, and then you get those nice circles in there. Also, to make previews faster, click this button over here, and then you can see that it halves the resolution. If you go into the project settings, you can actually change the proxy scale. So now we got our standard image here. We can start to dig into the Spider-Punk effect. So to start off, I think we're gonna start by isolating the passes we got from our Hobie. So we're gonna make a shuffle node. And then in the shuffle node, we're gonna pick out the Hobie layer that we put in our pass in Blender. Then we're gonna put that straight into the exposure because we want to use our raw image, not our defocused image. So you can hold control, create these points, and then make everything a lot more neat and organized. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. And then I'm gonna make a backdrop node, Hobie isolated. Okay, after you got your shuffle node here, you can add a merge node. You can just press M and then it creates a merge node. And then you want to put the A output into the shuffle node as a mask. So if you preview the shuffle node, this is what it looks like right now. So you want to use this as a mask to hide everything around the actual character. There we go. We got our mask. And then we can make a new merge node over here, and then we can set this in here. And now we can isolate the web. So make a new shuffle node. Also, I forgot, you can just rename these, so it's a lot easier to keep track of things. And then set the layer to, where is it? web. There we go. And then repeat the process over here with a merge node. Put the A into there and use this as a mask. And then make this look nice. And then we make a new merge. So here we got a web. And this is going to come in later down the chain so we can get this thing on top of the graphics that we're going to make. Create a new backdrop. Webs. Or you can just call this like masked objects and then just merge them together with the over setting on the merge node. So with that out of the way, let's jump into the paper effect. So I'm going to start with a constant, which is actually going to be the color of our paper effect thingy. So I'm going to do like a pink maybe, turn down the saturation a little bit. And then we're going to use a merge node, press M. I'm going to use a roto and then you can disconnect that to get the mask. There we go. Now inside our roto thingy, we can preview our Hobie and then go into the roto, press the root thing, use this tool, Bezier, and then just click like random points. The lazier you do this, the more accurate it's going to look to the movie. So try to keep it like pointy and stuff. Imagine like how you would cut out a paper shape, like the laziest way, without doing any square corners and stuff like that. Here we got our shape. Next up, let's do our guitar color. So do another constant, add another color. There we go. Add another merge and another roto. Just gonna move this over here. So now we can make another merge node and put these here, make it look nice. Also, don't forget to actually make your guitar shape here. I don't know. There we go. And then when animating a scene, you can just go frame by frame and move these points and it's going to automate automatically. So you're going to notice that when you add a merge node, the colors aren't going to look right. So go onto the color constant that's on top of the other one and you choose the RGBA and then it sets it to RGB alpha. And then pull the alpha up and that fixes it. There we go. So let's call this roto shapes. Okay, so now we got our shapes. So now we're going to make it look like paper. You want to add a noise and you got to use a reformat to set the resolution of your project. Kind of weird, but it's Nuke, I guess. So you want to use a copy channel and you want to put the A into the noise and the B from the merge. Now I use a I distort, put that into there, and then we can set the preview to this. So first of all, for anything to work, you got to set this to RGB alpha and then use the forward U or V. So you want to go into the distortion node, set the UV channel to forward, since we already put it in the copy node, and you just want to increase this and then you can see it already starts following like the pattern of the noise. So this is where you can start to just edit the noise however you want. So I'm just going to put mine to like 30. I don't know, this looks good. And we can add another backdrop to this. So now it's time to add like the white edge to make it look like the paper is kind of torn. So we can just copy this copy node, set the B into the merge, and you can copy the noise over here and then the same reformat like that. Then you want to use a distort again, and then you add a color correct, set it into the distortion, preview that. Then on the master channel, you turn down the saturation, turn up the gamma, and turn up the gain. And then now it's completely white. So now when we combine them together, we get something that looks like this. I've messed around with the noise a bunch to make it a lot more crunchier. And into the distortion here, I made it distort a little bit more. And you can use the offset UV to kind of change the position if you're not happy with where it's positioned. So now we can combine this pass and this pass with, you guessed it, another merge node. Okay, so while editing this video, I realized that what you actually need to do here is take this distortion, put it into the isolated Hobie, so you get both of them, and then instead of using the input from the merge here for the noise, you just pull it straight from there, and then So that makes both of the colored shapes and the actual character turn white and not just the colored shapes. So that way you get the white paper effect around not only the colors, but yeah, his body as well. And of course you just combine those two, the white part and the matte with the paper with a merge node and move on. So this doesn't look that cartoony, right? So I want to add some textures on top of this. So I have this cool like texture from what's it called, Tropic Colors, which looks pretty cool and choppy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. So I got it here, and then you gotta change the Rec 709 format to sRGB, and I'm gonna use a color correct just to remove all of the colors from it. So I'm just gonna pull down the saturation, and I'm gonna merge that together with this. So put the B into there, and you want to use this as a mask as well, because I only want the texture to be on top of our character. So there we go. Then we want to use this on the screen mode, and there we go. Now it kind of looks like it's printed now. So I found this cool paper texture that works pretty well for this. So I'm gonna add another read node and find it. And then once we've got our stock footage, change that to sRGB. And I think I used a transform node to kind of scale it a little bit. I remember tweaking the exposure as well, so you just get more detail out of it. So you want to add another merge, put the A on top of the B as usual, and then use the previous merge as a mask again. You want to put this to overlay mode. There we go. And then you can tweak the opacity as you want. Here's where the scaling comes in, because you can see that it's kind of small. So if you want it bigger, you can scale it up so you get the look that you want. So there's our overlay nodes. So you can add another backdrop here. All right, so now we're basically here. You can just connect these so you get the masked objects on top of the Hobie. And now you see that the comic book effect is only on our character, and our other objects are still completely normal. So now you want to make another merge node. Set the A to our chain and set the B all the way on our little bokeh effect over there, and clean that up a little bit. And there you go. There's your image with the Hobie effect. Something you could do if you're making like a cool little video. Sometimes he turns like black and white. So you can add a color correct and animate this saturation node, which I did for my video that I played in the beginning. And then after this, you can just add like your regular compositing chain with lens flares and chromatic aberration, and yeah, I'm not gonna go through that now because that's not what this video was about. So yeah, I think that's actually gonna be it. Remember, when animating, you just want to have the roto selected. Click on this, and then you can just move the points around as you go. I recommend animating Hobie on like 3s because that's what they did in the movie. And animating the paper layers, I would recommend doing like every 6th frame or something, because that way it looks way more choppy. And if you find yourself in a situation where you need to defocus the actual Hobie character, all you do is add another bokeh and then put it before this merge node right here. Obviously you got to use the same settings as the first bokeh, but yeah, you kind of gotta cheat your way around it, I guess. We're making this like a 2D plate on top of a 3D dimension. So anyways, that's how I made my Hobie effect in Nuke. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something, and yeah, I'm excited to see if any of you can pull this off. Bye.